Hello, everybody, and thank you for your time. In just a few short weeks, you're going to be enjoying one of Europe's greatest winter spectacles, the best of Europe's Christmas markets. And your hostess on that tour from Please Go Away Vacations is going to be our company's president, Paula Oxman. One thing we want to do today is to assure you that we are monitoring daily the developments of travel as it is occurring in rapid pace everywhere. The truth of the matter is, travel is surging. People are traveling in great numbers. In fact, while you are going to be enjoying the Europe Christmas markets, we will have another group of 36 individuals out cruising the Mississippi River, just indicative of the fact that people are rushing to reward themselves post COVID. Post COVID also indicates that things have been changing on almost a daily basis, and I'm going to turn this over to your hostess at this time, Paula Oxman. And Paula, I'm going to ask you to give an overview and the latest data that we have on these matters for the good folks here that are listening today.
Okay, Larry, thank you. Obviously, everything is quickly changing, and so it's kind of a nonstop question that we are always having to look at, and very important, as we all know, to stay abreast of is what are the applicable COVID protocols? And the most important question there is currently just exactly what do we need in order to enter Germany. And we had talked several days ago, in fact, last week, that we were going to do a recording, and we were contacted by one of the Colette representatives and said, hold off because things are going to change and we'll contact you on Thursday, which they did. They kept their word and gave us information and then said, but hold off a little longer because there are more changes coming down the line. So we have the most current, and I want to caution all of you that, again, this can certainly change and at a moment's notice. And so what we give you is current to the best of our knowledge from our contacts, which the information that I'm going to share is coming from a Colette representative. It's also coming from United Airlines, which part of us are traveling with, and based upon our flight itineraries, you can go onto their website, and I printed out exactly what it's indicating that's going to be asked of us, as well as CIBT, which is a worldwide company that has visa information, passport information, and all the latest COVID protocols. So that is our sources that we're sharing with you today. So right at this minute, the United States has been removed from the red zone as far as Germany's concerned. And what that means now is that we do not have to be tested to go to Germany as long as you are fully vaccinated. Currently, fully vaccinated means that you have had 2 vaccinations of either Moderna or Pfizer, or 1 of Johnson & Johnson. That does not include a booster shot at this time. And it must be that your second dose or your Johnson & Johnson dose was at least 2 weeks prior to travel. And you've all been previously advised via memos that Colette is requiring that you be fully vaccinated to even go on this trip. So at this point, that's required, and to really mention that again is probably not even an issue, other than this is your final notice that you must be fully vaccinated. So with that being said, you don't have to do a shot. I'm going to be very honest and tell you that from news media and things of that nature, I would not be surprised to see that change back to where it had been. And it's possible that it could even be an antigen versus PCR or either or. In fact, I'm am not going to cancel my appointment. My roommate and I made appointments to get vaccinated. I'm sorry, I beg your pardon, to get tested. Um, and we are going to leave that in place until probably the Friday before we leave, kind of see where things are. And then if it's determined that we won't need that, then we'll cancel it, but just to be sure. Now, in the event that we do go back to the testing requirements, it's very important when you get your pre-travel COVID testing, should that become necessary again, that you meet the requirements of 72 hours prior to arrival. And based upon those of us that are departing and going into Munich as per the itinerary, this would not pertain to Clara, who has deviated her travel plans. The time that United advised the testing could not be prior to 2:40 in the morning on December the 4th. So it could be any time after that. And if we're able to do the antigen, that is 48 hours. So it would be 2:40 in the morning on December the 5th or after. It certainly can be after. And, personally, I think you want to allow a little bit of time, and I'm sure nobody's going to go get tested at 2:40 in the morning. Flights are delayed or canceled, so you don't want to have it exactly down to the minute. But those are the times to test after, should that become necessary. The other change that has been announced is that we are still going to have to be tested in order to return to the United States, and I truly do not see that changing. In my opinion, should that happen, we'll notify you. Originally, we were advised to order kits and do the do-it-yourself, and now the tour manager has been in contact with our Colette representative, advising that they've also got a couple of options to be tested other than the pre-test. There's a couple of times that will work in. Now that cost is going to be to our own account. We'll each have to pay that ourselves if you choose to do that, or you can take the kits. If we do, they're saying about 35 to 50 euros is approximately, they're trying to get that down, but kind of plan on that cost to be tested. And it's my understanding that we can put that on a credit card. Although I had originally planned to do the self-testing, I read a lot of travel industry information, and I will suggest that if you've already purchased the do-it-yourself kit and you want to do that, that's fine. But I really recommend that you take 2 tests. I've been reading quite a bit about some of the travel agents and their clients who've been off in foreign countries and went to do the tests, and you're not supposed to open the kit until you're ready to use it and you're on the cell phone with a FaceTime situation where somebody's watching you. Some of the kits are found to not have liquid in the tubes that you use to do the testing. Without the liquid, the test will not work. The second thing that I've been reading about is that people have been on their cell phones, on the call, doing the test, and for some reason the internet connection or the connection to the person that's watching and observing this is lost, and therefore that test is not going to be valid. So if you plan to do the do-it-yourself, we strongly recommend that you have a backup kit should that happen. Or if you've only got one and that didn't work, you could plan to go ahead and do the other. I'm going to save my kits for another time, I think, and I'm planning to go and do the one that Colette has scheduled for those of us who need it. So those are just a couple of things to be aware of that I would never have thought of had I not been reading the information. One of the things that I have mentioned to all of you individually, and I know that some, if not all of you, have done this, but Colette has this wonderful little app that you can download. It's a free app that you can download on your smartphone, and your booking number, your name and your booking number, which I think I've provided all of you with your booking numbers, and you can get all of the information about the trip. If you wander off and don't know where the hotel is, you can pull it up on your phone and you can get the address. You can find eating places nearby. If there's some free time and you need something to do, and um, there's different things that'll tell you that there's entertainment or nightlife or places to have a drink or things of that nature. The daily itinerary is on there. You can keep a journal on there if you want to. And what's really neat is this will stay in that app. So the next time that you go to do a Colette trip, you can just put your number in. Actually, mine just automatically came up. I didn't even have to do anything. If you want to go back and look at your itinerary after you're home, that will remain in your apps as long as you keep that app on there. So if you have not done that and you have any questions about doing that, please do contact us and ask questions and let us help you get that on there. I did check, and it looks like our documents have been printed and are ready to be mailed out. Normally, we would have had those by now, but because of all the changes and things that are going on, Colette and all of the tour companies are waiting a little bit closer to departure than normal to print documents and mail those out. As quickly as we get those, we will send those by 2-day priority mail to you so that you'll have them in plenty of time. With the exception, Claire, if you are gone, I will get you an electronic copy and then bring you all of the original stuff with me when we meet up in Munich. So it's going to look somewhat like this. It comes in a really nice little folder that keeps everything together that you need for the Colette trip. The booklet, and this is the cover you see here, is going to have all kinds of important information. The packet is going to have an extra copy of your hotels that we're staying at so that you'll have a copy, one that's in the book and one that you can leave with family or friends so that in an emergency they can reach you. The packet's going to have some name tags for us, which is the top left, and there's a little thing that so that it hangs around our neck, or you can clip it onto your clothing, whichever is preferable to you. As well as there's going to be 2 different kinds of luggage tags. The one that is on the right, what says is green and it says Colette, guided by travel. That one is, there's one of those and it's going to be for your large suitcase. You can put that one on when you leave home. It's sturdy enough to withstand handling by the airline. The bottom left one is also going to need to go onto your large bag. Again, you're going to get one of those. However, you are not going to want to put that one on until we get to the first hotel. The other side of this one has lines, and it's used to write the room number that you're going to be at each of the subsequent hotel rooms so that their luggage will be handled for you, and that's how it gets to your room. So you've got one for identification and one so that it's handled and finds you at each location. There's places for your name and address, and you can judge whether you want to put your home address on there or maybe a neighbor or a family member nearby, or yours, however you're comfortable. Some people don't like to put their home addresses on them because if it's sitting at an airport, perhaps in your departure city, and someone could see that you're leaving and you've got an address, it's kind of broadcasting that your home is going to be empty for a while if it is in fact empty. So we used to fill that in. We don't do that anymore. We leave it up to individuals as to how they want to handle that. So for that Colette tag, that is for identification, it's going to have a little plastic loop thing that, and this is the way it's attached. Your documents, we will also insert a copy of this, but it shows you how to attach that properly to the luggage of your handle of your luggage so that it's sturdy, and it is plastic and is very durable, so it should work quite well. In addition, we're going to add several of these bright green luggage stickers, and basically it's for the color and so that we can easily identify your luggage. If you just want to put your name on there, that's super. That helps us to identify your luggage when we're claiming it, when we get to Munich, or when we're coming back and we're going through immigration and things and have to temporarily claim it again on the return in Houston. So that's a different purpose than the other ones, but also very important. There is a place on the back where if you kind of bend them and roll it around your finger a little bit, you'll see there's a little split, and then you can pick that and peel it off. This is the proper way that you're going to attach this to your luggage, not flat on the sides because it won't stick well that way. It'll come off. This is the proper way. You take the backing off, and then the ends will stick to each other and go around like this. We're going to send you more than one because a lot of times people want to put that on a camera strap or on their carry-ons. We've had, backpacks. Some ladies even put them on their purses. Certainly whatever you'd like to put them on, we'll give you plenty so that you can do that, because what happens is if we're in a lobby or we're in a restaurant or something and we're all leaving and one of us sees this bright green sticker on something, we know that that belongs to one of our Please Go Away group, and we're going to bring the attention to that so that it's not lost and you can go back and get it, or we're going to grab it and bring it to somebody. So we'll send you a supply of those. Another important question that people are always asking is, well, how much luggage can I take and how big? So the answer is, on a Colette tour program, which is true of most companies, you're allowed one large bag. That luggage handling has been included in the cost that you've paid for your trip. That large bag and the airline rules are going to be that it cannot weigh more than 50 pounds, and it also cannot be, the height, the length, and the width cannot exceed 62 inches. And so you would measure like it shows here, one time the height, one time the length, and then once the width. 62 inches or smaller is the maximum that the airlines will allow you to take without having additional fees. The large one here is a 62-inch bag that meets the requirements. Notice again how the green stickers are around that handle on top. Most often when they're setting somewhere either to be loaded onto a bus or leave a hotel, they're going to be upright like that, and that way we can easily see that we've got our bags are there. So that's important. And I'll have extras, so if for some reason yours come off and you need more while on tour, be sure and let me know. The middle one is a nice size and will fit in the overhead of an airplane. So for a carry-on bag, that's fine. It is not going to fit in the overhead of a European tour bus. So if you're going to take that size of carry-on, you're going to probably want to have a backpack or something a little bit smaller, because if they stick it underneath the bus, when we're moving around in the bus sightseeing or moving onto a new location. You would not have access to that during the daytime until we got to the new hotel and they set it out for you to handle. When they stick it underneath the bus to transport from location to location for that middle one, the bus driver is going to set it out. So when you get off the bus, you would be responsible for picking it up and taking it to your room. Likewise, when we left the next morning, you would bring it to the bus, set it beside the luggage bays, and the driver would set it on and for you. But be sure that you always remember to pick that up. The other little bag probably would go into an overhead on the bus. Might not always if you had a lot of stuff in it, but it would certainly slide underneath the seat in front of you so that you could have access to it throughout the daytime hours. Wheels are very important. Nowadays with COVID, we're finding that in a lot of places that we normally would have gotten a sky cap to help with luggage, there aren't any. So it's very helpful if you have whatever luggage and hand luggage you have. It's very helpful if there's wheels so that when we're not able to get assistance, you're able to roll that and get to wherever we need to be. I mentioned that if you have the medium-sized roller bag, that it's not going to be accessible in the daytime. A backpack, perhaps a little zipper purse that you could put your important things in and then tuck down into the bottom of the backpack. This would be ideal for day trips when you're out sightseeing to take the things that you're going to need, be it an umbrella, a rain poncho, medications, camera batteries, cameras, things of that nature that you might want with you during the day. It's also important to remember the 3-1-1 rule. And what that means is each person is allowed 1 quart bag of 3-ounce containers. If you have any liquids or gels that are larger than the 3 ounces, you can take them. You just need to be sure that you put those in your check luggage and do not try to carry them on. So carry-on luggage, 3 ounces liquid or gels in 1 quart bag per person. There's a lot of things that we encounter when we travel to Europe that are things that we'll go over here. First of all, if you're going to be using a credit card when you're in Europe, Visa is the most widely accepted credit card, followed back a ways by MasterCard. Discover and American Express, you're going to find are very seldom accepted. So it's a good idea to have 1 or perhaps 2. You don't want all of your money in one form of payment, because in the event you had an issue with a credit card and that's all you had, it can be kind of serious. So I would suggest that you take as well some cash, because first of all, in the Christmas markets, you're going to find that if you're shopping and picking up things there, many of those are not set up to take a credit card. So it's important that if you do plan to shop there, have some cash, and they're going to want euros. They're not going to probably want to take US money. So because some of you are in the cities, you might be able to go to your bank and do some conversion so that you're going with current euros. For me in Great Bend, Kansas, that doesn't happen locally. What I always do and plan to do as well this time is to, when we're changing planes in Chicago on the outbound, is when I go to the international departure gate, there's currency exchanges, and I will plan to exchange currency at that time and get the euros that I have decided that I'm going to need. So if you have any questions about that, be sure and let us know. One more thing about the credit card is that almost all credit card companies want to be notified when you're traveling out of the United States. I can actually do mine online, which is very handy. If not, they mostly have a number that you can call, but do be sure that if you plan to use a credit or a debit card that you contact the bank or the person, the entity, and advise them that you're going to be international. Mine usually asks for the places I will be, including the airports and the dates, and it's quite simple. Temperatures can be very changeable from location to location. Obviously, it's winter, so you do need to plan to have warm clothing. Um, Layers are always good so that if it gets cooler and you need to maybe add a sweatshirt underneath or something over, beneath your coat or add a coat or jacket is always good to do layers. I'm planning to take a warm coat and I'm planning to take earmuffs and a lot of things that I seldom wear. I want to be outside wandering at the Christmas markets and I want to be warm. Um, you always need to plan for rain or snow depending on temperatures. So an umbrella or some kind of a rain hat or something if your coat's not water repellent is going to be good to have. Boots, warm socks, gloves, all those kinds of things. Walking shoes is good, or boots that you've had. You don't want to buy brand new and then do a lot of walking, obviously. Passport is probably one of the most important things on this picture because you do need to be sure that you have your passport as well as your vaccination card. Be sure that you have the original vaccination, the information that you were given when you received your shots. Um, Take a picture of it and have on your cell phone as well in case something were to happen to the original. But most places are asking for the original, and if it's required at any of the places that we're going, whether it's a restaurant or a sightseeing thing that we're doing, don't be surprised if they ask to also see your passport as identification to be sure that that is your vaccination card. Gratuities are not included for our German tour manager and bus driver. The recommended amounts will be in the booklet that I mentioned that you'll be getting as your tour documentation. Um, Recommendations are there. We're also going to have, I think, a couple of step-on guides while we're on tour, and the recommended amount for them will be in that book as well. So you can either give them euros if you know, because the tipping for the tour manager and the bus driver would be at the end. The customary thing is to give that to them at the farewell dinner at the very last night before we depart. And so you can do that if you have euros left that you want to get rid of. That's a good way to do it. The driver is going to be from Europe, I'm sure, either Germany or some nearby country. So, if you have leftover euros, that would be the first place that I would give them to his as his gratuity. The tour manager may be from the United States, and so then I would balance out with U.S. money or euros, however, whatever I had left with that person. I mentioned exchanging money, so that we've talked about. If you're planning to use an electrical appliance, you're going to need either one or perhaps two things. A lot of appliances nowadays, cameras, my iPhone, um, my battery charger for my camera, my flat iron, things of that nature, a lot of them are dual, meaning that they will work on 110 or 220. Europe is going to be a 220 volt. So you're going to have to know if your appliances, anything that you would need to charge, are dual. If they are, they will adapt, they will convert themselves, and then you will just need to adapt them. And by adapt, I mean to use one of the little plugs that appears down in the bottom right hand of the picture. Depending on the country, I think all the ones that we're going to use will accept the same one. So the appliance would convert itself and then we would adapt it. If it isn't dual and it's only a 110, you would then need to also use the big square that's sitting on the outside of that box on the bottom right to change the currency from 110 to 220. So you would plug your appliance into the cube, and then you would need to put the little adapter onto your appliance. And again, if you have any questions about that, you can call and visit with us, and or even on tour, we can kind of see what you have and what you need to do to make it work. We don't have any formal things that we're going to be doing. No requirements as far as head coverings or anything like that for anything that we're going to be doing. So casual clothes, warm clothes, I think is probably going to be the most important. Sometimes there are people who maybe dress up, and I don't mean dress up fancy, but a smart casual kind of thing for the farewell dinner. And that'll vary depending on people, what you're comfortable in. Otherwise, jeans and sweaters and sweatshirts and things of that nature will be fine. And it's not required that you dress on the last night. Entirely up to you as to what you're comfortable in. The guy on the right, I've saved him till last because he looks like a tourist, which is not something you necessarily want to do when you're out wandering, but he has way too much luggage. He's going to wear himself out carrying all that. It's going to cost him a fortune with the airline, first of all, because they're going to charge him. He can take one large bag and check it internationally without paying for it. He can take a carry-on and a personal item without paying, but obviously with what he's got, he's going to be paying extra fees. He's just ridiculous with all that. You don't need to take that. So none of us are going to show up like that, right? So I think we've gone over all that money, the gratuities. Estimated amount of money to take is always another big question. In the booklet that we're going to get from Colette, it's going to say for lunches, which mostly our lunches are not included. For lunches, you should plan on from this amount to this amount of money to plan for those expenses. Likewise, if there are some dinners that are not included, again, they'll give an estimated idea so that you can plan. It works out well to use a credit card when you can for meals and things like that, just so that you're not having to carry a lot of cash with you. You certainly don't have to, but that does work well. Usually for lunch stops, they will stop the bus at places where there's options, so that if you want a larger meal, that's fine. If you want to just grab something and eat while you're shopping or looking, there's different options for what you're used to eating. They will rotate seats on the buses. Usually that's done on a daily basis. That allows everybody to have a chance to be more toward the front. It also gives you new neighbors because you should be across the aisle from someone different each day, and gives you a good chance to get to know other people. Our group at this point is quite small, and so there will be other people on the Colette tour that we will meet up with when we get to Munich. And so we will not be the only ones on the bus. There will be additional people. Now, the tour manager at some point on the bus is going to pass around a sign up sheet that is going to say there's an option on the tour if you would like to do the option. Now, remember, and I will certainly tell you if you're around me and I don't have to shout from the back of the bus to the front, that remember that the Alpine Village is an included feature that has already been included in your tour program as a feature of Please Go Away Vacations. That is not true of the other people who are going to be on the motor coach. So when he talks about, and our tour guide is going to be Daniel, when Daniel talks about, signing up for this option, then you do not need to worry about that. That has been taken care of. And that was the only option originally. Sometimes when documents come, they've added a few extra things. And if that's the case, then, and it's something that you want to do, you certainly can do that if it doesn't overlap what we've already included. Name tags, I mentioned, we looked at that. It's normally they want you to wear that name tag anytime we're doing something as a group, going into a restaurant or something of that nature, because that identifies us as a member of a group. So that if you are wandering through and you should be off on the other side, that they can identify and direct you that way. Other than that, when we're out on our own of an evening and shopping in the markets, you can do it if you want to. I normally take mine off and don't wear it, so I'm sure they can tell I'm a tourist, but I don't advertise it, I guess is what I'm saying. So I think that's everything. Larry, I might have made some questions in your mind of something I didn't cover.
Well, first of all, Paula, congratulations, another very fine job. I only have one comment that I would like to add, and that is with reference to gratuities. You mentioned the foreign tour escort, the driver, and the local guides. And you explained very well that they, anticipate and there will be gratuities recommended for them for consideration. First of all, those should be truly personal. We don't ever want to know what anybody does. The point I want to make, however, is that unlike other companies, Please Go Away Vacations never has, nor will it ever, accept gratuities on behalf of any of its representatives, such as Paula or any of our other personal hosts that are always present on a feature travel tour. We don't expect gratuities. We will accept gratuities. What we ask in return, however, is that if we do something wrong, tell us so that we can improve it. By contrast, if we do something right, we really don't care whether you tell everybody else. In fact, we'd like that. And that's all the thanks and gratuities we need. So I wanted to add that, Paula, because that's a strong point, and unlike other companies.
Okay, thank you. I didn't think to say that because I just take that for granted. So I'm looking forward to meeting those of you that I have not met. I've talked to you guys enough. I kind of feel like I do know you, but looking forward to meeting you and traveling with you. If there's something that you want to experience that we can work in our free time, be sure and let me know. I plan to do the fun things. We'll do the tour, which is fun, but there's a lot of local cuisine in the different areas that we're going to that's going to vary by regions. And so, when we go to the Black Forest, we need to go try to get some Vesper and some of the dumpling things. And I don't do German, but they've got a German name for it. And, another fun thing, which is going to be an advantage of COVID. Most of you probably know that in 2020, every 10 years, so in 2020, Oberammergau, the little village, has a big passion play, which is world wide known. And because of COVID in 2020, it was canceled and rescheduled for 22. And I think that the advantage that is we're going to find is when we're in Oberammergau and we're wandering around in the little shops, there's a lot of woodworking shops and things of that nature. The actors that portray Jesus and Judas and all the different characters from the Bible, they don't wear like fake beards and stuff. They grow them themselves, and they start doing that a couple of years ahead. And I happened to go to Oberammergau back in 2000 for the Passion Play and met, I think it was Judas in he was a carver in one of the shops, and he autographed postcards and things of that nature. But I'm thinking that they're all going to be having their beards and in their characters already or still looking at beginning their season in less than a year when they redo it in 22. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be fun. So we'll try all the mulled wine and all the other delicacies that we can taste in the Christmas markets, and I think we're going to have a wonderful time. So thank you all for your time. Listen to this, and then you'll have a link. You can obviously re-listen, and do not hesitate to call us or email us. Our 800 number is 1-800-362-9347. You can always email answers@travelpleasegoaway.com, or I think you all have my email. In a memo coming up, you're going to get my cell number, so be sure that you copy that down on information and take that with you as well, so that once we depart and we're en route, if you need to contact me, you'll have that number as well. Thank you all for going away with us, and I will see you soon. Thank you.